I am reasonably active on TikTok, as you will see by looking at that there. There we go. That's my handle on TikTok. Anyway, I put my post leftist TikTok just like you saw when with the Richard Wolff segment that we played earlier. Now, for some because I'm British and I'm left leaning and I post about politics on TikTok and watch political content on TikTok, the TikTok algorithm suggests me left leaning political content. And my god, it's incredibly fucking liberal. It's full of libs who don't understand the critiques of Keir Starmer and don't understand the critiques of Tony Blair. Like, these channels keep posting pro-Blair, or kept posting pro-Blair content. It's got, like, utterly destroyed in the comments by people correctly calling him a neoliberal war criminal because he is one. Just fair enough. And obviously there's been a lot of hubbub around Keir Starmer and Beergate and his leadership and all of the purges that he's done within the party and how he's not giving anything to try and attract the left over. Now there's this guy called Thomsin, he's got a podcast as well, because they always fucking have a podcast. I mean, I guess this is kind of like a podcast, but just live and me talking by myself, but I digress. Even so, he posted a very, very strange video about reactions to Keir Starmer, and I wanted to respond to that. He posted another video about what can be done for the Labour Party moving forward. And I want to talk about the liberal approach to politics in the UK and the way it turns into like team sports rather than about policy. And people who vote Labour but aren't really Labour members misunderstanding the internal issues that are happening within the Labour Party right now. This was the video that I originally saw. It was posted on Twitter by George
That Starmer speech, man, it was intelligent, it was articulate, compassionate, sporadically funny, but still, there's some fucking lunatics from the very far left of the party who were interrupting and heckling along the lines of, "I can't support you because you're not perfect." Well, I wish I could support him, but he doesn't tick every one of my boxes, so Tories it is. I'd love to see these cunts in, like, other historical settings, you know, like... Well, I am sorry that the Nazi Party are burning Jews alive, but I cannot vote for the opposition because they went to university. Oh, no!
But I don't think he quite understands the reason why people don't want to vote Labour. I mean, first of all, they want to vote Labour because there's political viewpoints that are actually espoused by Conservatives that they physically do not agree with anybody left leaning on, even like a liberal centrist or even centre right person like Starmer would preach. Right? I'm just going to turn the cam off because it's not even fucking working. And then trying to equivocate that with people saying like, well, I wouldn't vote against this person because they went to university or whatever. Doesn't make any fucking sense, right? Like, let's go back again. People talk about Keir Starmer here.
From the very far left of the party, who were interrupting and heckling along the lines of, "I can't support you because you're not..."
Like, far left? Like, just far left social democrats, I guess? Like, I got on TikTok, there's someone called the Champagne Socialist, who said that they were the Corbynists, like, Corbynite, like, ultras? Like, yeah, ultra social democrats. Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. No, it's just people wanted some kind of Keynesian social democratic policy. That's not a far left situation. And the fact, and I will go into it moving forward. So I responded. Hey, thank you for the follow. I responded on Twitter to this person as well, and my critiques of Keir Starmer. That clearly, I don't think these people really understand what the actual critiques are. But anyway, like when you the fact that he reduces these things, our criticisms of Starmer down to
the lines of,
right?
"I can't support you because you're not perfect." Well,
it's nothing to do with him not being perfect, right? Let me bring up the thread that I posted on Twitter as well. Yeah, saying that it's Starmer's blanket acceptance of monetarist flaming of government spending that's incompatible with Labour values, and calling Corbyn's manifesto socialist or far left as a wild level of political naivety, and just advocating for some nationalised industries. That's not socialism. Arguing for a high minimum wage. That's not socialism. These are just genuine social democratic Keynesian policies that we're trying to advocate for as a kind of compromise position, right? But it's not that Keir Starmer isn't perfect. It's that he doesn't represent anything to do with Labour values. Like, if you want to be a liberal, just go and join the fucking Lib Dems, as I said yesterday.
I wish I could support him, but he doesn't tick every one of my boxes, so Tories it is. I'd love to see these cunts in, like, other historical settings, like...
I don't think it's anything to do with people saying, oh, he's not going to tick my boxes. I think a lot of most Tories fundamentally believe in this idea of, well, we need to run the economy correctly. They believe in monetarism. And that the Labour never balanced the books or whatever, or they're people who have a vested interest in their house price going up, or continuing to go up, which is a whole other topic for another day about demographic shift in the UK. But regardless, people vote on with their material interest in that regard. It's not about Keir Starmer not ticking all their boxes. It's a fundamental chasm between overall policy prescriptions between people on the right and people in the centre. Well, I am sorry that the Nazi Party are burning Jews alive, but I cannot vote for the opposition because they went to university.
Oh, no, I don't want to hang the Son of God, but I'm hanging out for the real Messiah, and his name's Jeremy Corbyn. These people are like
it's going to make an incredibly wild claim afterwards as well. But it's the idea that the left wing of the Labour Party have been essentially purged by Keir Starmer. They're essentially trying to say they're like, by not supporting Starmer, they're essentially would be the kind of people who would have condemned Jesus to death. It's just like the most absurd false comparison anyway, considering that it wasn't even started by us. We were happy to support Keir Starmer when he was pledging to actually put forward policies that would actually help people, that we kind of agreed with. There was going to be some kind of middle ground between the Labour right and the Labour left, and he's just completely gone against that. We want to oppose neoliberalism, and that's all that he's putting forward.
Like domestic abusers who try to mould you into the perfect person, but like, you're never going to tick all the boxes.
Yeah, people who want actual systemic economic change and policies that make people's lives better rather than nonsense neoliberal posturing. That's the same as being as a domestic abuser, is it? Come on, mate. Come on, really? You're not an idiot.
You're not going to be the perfect person or party. Deal with it. That's Starmer.
It doesn't make any sense, does it? It's quite weird. I mean, to his credit, right? He then posted a new TikTok recently. Let me find his actual TikTok account. He posted a new TikTok called "How We Fixed the Labour Party," which would be an interesting thing. Which is an interesting piece of content. I have pre-watched this, so I can comment a little bit more from my previous reaction as well as a natural reaction now. But we'll go through it anyway.
19 December election. This is a guy called Jeremy Corbyn. Corbyn was, of course, leader of Her Majesty's opposition, the Labour Party, from 2015 to 2020. And he stepped down following that 2019 December election, in which the Tories won a crushing 80-seat majority. Of course, that presented an opportunity for one Lisa Nandy, Rebecca Long-Bailey, and one Keir Starmer. Now, Starmer won 54% of the vote in that leadership contest, thanks in large part to his commitment to not...
Having critiquing someone's political platform for not being good enough to actually help make changes that would benefit people's lives in a material way. That's exactly the same as gaslighting your partner using domestic abuse tactics to turn them into the perfect person that they aren't. These things are completely fucking comparable, right? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all, but whatever. Abandon the pledges written by Jeremy Corbyn for the 2019 election that they just lost.
In fact, you can still see his 10 pledges on the KeirStarmer.com website, and they range from economic justice, taxing high earners, social justice, climate justice, promoting peace and human rights, common ownership of public services. Now, a lot of this stuff sits very comfortably.
And that's things that I would agree with. A lot of these things most people agreed with.
In the Labour, nay, socialism sphere. So it's perhaps a little...
Okay. Considering the TikTok clip we've just watched, what socialism is not is when the government does stuff. And it's not more socialism the more stuff it does. And it's not communism when the government does all the stuff. And that's not how socialism works. Again, people who don't know, it's the worker control of means of production, distribution, and exchange, and the abolition of the commodity form. Nothing was in Keir Starmer's pledges there. It was just social democracy. And you're right, Ozone. None of his actions support any of that. But I think he does move on to get onto that moving forward. That's just things that are part of a nominal kind of Labour Party platform, right?
Little unsurprising that he gets abuse from people when he adopts more of a centre or centre-right sensibility with regards to tax. Starmer criticised for backing tax rises on the low-paid. Starmer backs a delay in raising corporation tax. Sometimes it's easy for us around the sort of...
It's almost like those are not policies that should be included in the Labour Party. If you want to pass those policies, join the fucking Lib Dems. Go, shoot, get out of the Labour Party. You do not belong here. If you're going to be happy with tax rises on the lowest paid and want to institute some kind of progressive income tax, it's very, very simple. That's not what the Labour Party should be there for. These aren't left-wing political prescriptions that you're making there, right?
Centre-left space to dismiss or diminish those in the far left of Labour as though they just want them.
The far left Social Democrats, let's remember, that's as far left as you actually really get in the Labour Party. It's just Social Democrats, at least from a policy perspective.
Magic Grandpa Jeremy Corbyn back. I've been guilty of that. Absolutely, I have. And hecklers rocked up to Labour conferences. We kind of, mocked them as deranged, deluded Corbynistas who just, you need to move on, guys. Come on, there's a new guy in town. My personal sense on this is that Starmer is trying to occupy a centrist, centre-right, fiscally responsible, traditionally conservative...
Now, I think you should be ever wary. Like, I posted this on Twitter as well. You can read the thread if you want. I think we should be incredibly wary of people who call themselves being on the left and will use such phrases as fiscally responsible, because that's not a phrase anybody on the left should be using, because we understand that, at least we should understand, that the government budget is not like a household budget. When the government spends money on infrastructure projects or spends money on those kind of things, that's not... Then they're creating money to do that. Taxation is a way in which you affect the overall aggregate demand of the economy, and then you can also use to fund programs that then put money back into people's hands. That's not the same as the government then using their policy with which to create additional infrastructure, etc. These are different things, right? It's not like a personal bank balance where money goes in, money comes out. It's way more complex than that. You issue gilts to be able to recoup losses, and then and internal gilts are different from the bonds you have with other countries too. But the main purpose of taxation is to affect aggregate demand to control inflation the vast majority of the time, right? to be able to control who can spend what. The idea that someone who calls it on the left would use a neoliberal term like fiscally responsible, where they've created this lie essentially that the government budget is like a household budget where there's no magic money tree, and how are you going to pay for this? Which we shouldn't be. These are not the lines that we should be drawing. We should be drawing a line specifically between monetarism and Keynesianism, at least from a pragmatic perspective within the Labour Party and within left wing politics. If we spend our entire time using our platform to want to feed into the hegemonic dominant monetarist understanding of what constitutes public spending, all we're going to do is lend credence to the right wing, namely the Conservatives, who have been going on with that lie forever. It was just like, as I said before on the stream yesterday, it's exactly like before, when what used to happen was, so during the pandemic, the Tories put up the national debt because they were spending overall money by issuing gilts to be able to pay for the furlough scheme, right? And people go, oh, look, the Tories are supposed to be the fiscally responsible, but look how high the national debt is. But it's like, no, if you make that criticism, that allows them to make the same criticism back at you, all it does is lend credence to the neoliberal narrative. And, it essentially stymies our ability to be able to counteract that narrative later. We should be saying it does not matter whether the Tories create a higher overall budget deficit or a higher overall national debt. That shouldn't matter, as far as we are concerned, as long as the actual policies that are being used to pay, being paid with, that's painful rather, are policies that affect people well. And the furlough scheme was a good policy that they did do. But now we've come back around and they say we can't do no more help with the cost of living crisis. We have to tighten our belts. No magic money tree. We have to pay for the furlough scheme. And all of the people before who were saying you've raised the national debt, bad Tory party, they've played right into their hands by going on with the monetarist neoliberal narrative about how government expenditure should work, because they went along with the lie. And egg in our face are in alignment, or at least not in my face, because I was the one telling you not to do it. I was going to tell you, say, no, good. Continue being deficit spenders. Continue going on with a more kind of MMT Keynesian style understanding of government spending. But by making the monetarist criticism as a left winger, all it's done is led credence to the right wing narrative here, and it was a spectacular own goal from the left. And if you are using those same terminologies whilst claiming to be on the left, you're sussy, as far as I'm concerned. You're really sussy, and saying it's fiscally responsible rather than monetarist or neoliberal, it's a real red flag as far as I'm concerned. Maybe he doesn't understand. Maybe he's just not as in with this kind of stuff as a lot of some other people are. I get that, that's fine, but we need to understand that to be able to have proper opposition to the Tories, you need to oppose the foundational tenets of the things that they're trying to sell to the public as being self-evident truths, which they just aren't.
Conservative space so as to win power, so that then he's in a position to implement social justice reforms. I see it like a journo-political magic trick. Like, while you were all looking over here at the low corporation tax, I was over here fixing systemic racism. So where does this leave the far left of the party?
Yeah, the systemic racism is coming from Starmer and the right wing of the Labour Party. They're Islamophobic. They were prescribing places like Jewish Voice for Labour. The racism is coming from the right wing of the Labour Party. If you trust the right wing of the Labour Party to fix systemic racism issues, you live in fucking dreamland.
So I understand that the Momentum lot and Owen Jones and the Corbyn apostles all rightly take issue with Starmer. They need...
That's the problem, is that when it becomes this kind of factional war, people like this only see us, like socialists or social democrats, people on the left wing of the party, as being apostles of Corbyn, rather than just people who support a politician who is giving us the policies that we think are going to actually solve the issues, right? It's the same thing as calling people Bernie bros. People weren't Bernie bros because they were following him dogmatically because he's the guy that they like, because he's the celebrity politician they want to follow. He was giving them policies that they liked and matched their political ideology that solved the issues materially that people need having solved today, right? And by calling people Corbynites or whatever, it's incredibly frustrating when you just call us socialists. Just call us social democrats, call us left-wingers. But we're not apostles for Corbyn. We're just people who want to see pragmatic policy proposals that fix the systemic issues in society.
Convincing that he's the right guy, that he's on their side. And to my mind, what they need now is a figurehead that represents the far left of the Labour Party. Someone that can sit down...
Far left social democrats, that's apparently what he's referring to.
Over a table with him and say, right, this is where we're coming from, and Starmer can say, yeah, it's cool, I get that, just give me some time, here's what you need for me to convince you that I'm on your side. Without a figurehead, all you're going to see is more segregation and division and problems and splitting the vote. And for the Starmerists, what they need to do is actually sit down with these people instead of kicking them out. This is a guy...
I'm happy that Aid here is at least trying to say there needs to be some kind of reconciliation and some reaching across the divide and some ability to want to create some kind of consensus. But Cog, who's in the comments here, is absolutely right in saying that the problem is that the onus lies explicitly with Starmer. He's the person who's breaking the pledges. He's the one doing the purges. He's the one refusing to actually be able to trying to fix things. He's the one or not trying to fix things, as the case may be, right? And again, he's trying to say, well, we need a figurehead. It's not about figurehead. It's about policy. It's about policy and direction. And unfortunately, as Paul Mason said yesterday, Starmer is a Rawlsian liberal. and he doesn't have the same political ideology that the members of the Labour Party have, and he shouldn't be at the top of the party. It's as simple as that. Unless he makes actual policy concessions, regardless of whether there's a figurehead to reach out olive branch to, he's not going to be able to engender some support. That's the main issue. It's not about people; it's about policy, and it's very frustrating to watch people who are talking about like the nuances of political discourse talk about it like it's football teams with people getting behind celebrities, rather than what it actually is a fight over policy and narrative and the material impact of what politicians propose. And so I don't care who the Labour Party is, as long as they give us policy proposals that are materially beneficial, and that's not what we're getting from Starmer. I mean, that's an issue. Is by calling people. I agree, Ozone. By calling people Starmerites, by calling people Corbynites, or whatever, by talking about it in that way and ignoring policy, he is feeding into factionalism. I absolutely agree, and that's what he's getting wrong. Yeah, I just don't understand how he doesn't realise that this isn't about Corbyn. This is about policy. This is about explicitly the material impact of what the Labour Party is actually putting forward to people as a platform. And we've seen it. It didn't work. Look at the local elections. It didn't fucking work. All he appealed to was the metropolitan Liberal Elite in specific boroughs of London, which the only places you could really say that have a metropolitan Liberal Elite, right? Where were the councils that won in London? It was in the rich places. They lost in like Tower Hamlets, where it's a more deprived area. It's really weird. People hate Corbyn because there was a disingenuous media smear campaign calling him an anti-Semite for being pro-Palestine, and also because they think that he's too left-wing to win an election. That's essentially it. There was a huge media smear campaign. Like they said he had a Chairman Mao style bicycle. They photoshopped his hat to make him look more Russian. They said they made fun of his jacket, made fun of his tie. There's a whole smear article about that he didn't bow low enough at the cenotaph. It was a media smear campaign, basically. That's why most people hate Corbyn. And the Labour right hate him because they just disagree with him politically. I think the vast majority of the time they disagree with him politically, and they call themselves, unironically, the adults in the room, when they're the ones who treat politics like a football game, rather than what it actually is a policy battlegrounds to create material impact. Right, simple as that. And again, I'm really glad to see that the position that he's taken with the later video is a process of reconciliation. Right, I'm glad that that's the stance that he wants to take. I just really take an issue with the narrative that he's trying to spin, the way he's trying to create reconciliation, and the overall structure of how he views internal Labour politicking, and how I think divorced from real reality that he actually is with regards to it. And if you're watching Aid, I magically managed to find my channel from somewhere. I mean, I did quote tweet you on Twitter, and then also tag you in the replies as well. If you're somehow watching this, then hello, welcome. Thank you for sitting through me, talk about your content or whatever. I'm happy to have a discussion, happy to have a debate. If you want to come on stream and talk to me, I would absolutely love to. I've been itching to have a debate about Keir Starmer. I really want to get into the whole Keir Starmer policy issue moving forward, right? I've been absolutely, I really want to get someone like a proper Starmeroid on to debate. Feel free to come on. I will happily talk to you. We can hash this shit out. Me continually responding to short videos that you post on TikTok is not going to help anybody in the grand scheme of things, unless we actually have a proper one-on-one conversation. So if by some miracle you found this video, drop me a follow on Twitter, DM me, and I will bring you on. I'll drop the Discord. You have a chat to me. But unfortunately, like, unless that does happen, I'm going to have to keep bringing up TikToks like this and responding, because there's lib shit like this all over TikTok. The British left, actual left, not far left, but not liberals either, like just the regular left, doesn't have as much of a presence on TikTok as it really should. It's all been taken over by just red team good, rather than transformative policies good. Yeah, they surveying. They said Corbyn had a Sherman Mao style bicycle. It was a smear campaign, which is why it's very funny that even the tiniest, smallest smear campaign from the right-wing press against Starmer, and the whole thing's collapsed. Oh, we had a beer and a curry, news forever. Oh, they were happy to ally with the right-wing media when it was attacking Corbyn, and now that's happening to them. It's a smear campaign gone too far. I'm like, you've made your fucking bed, mate. Now you've got to lie in it. It's unfortunate. But it's very funny that he's folding under even the slightest bit of media pressure, which was consistent and far, far, far more like dangerous and derogatory towards Corbyn at the time, rather than what it is now. But it is what it is. But yeah, please, if you're watching Aid, come and have a chat. I would absolutely love to have you on stream and have a debate about this. Non-confrontational. We can have a moderator if you want, but I really, really fundamentally disagree with your framing of these issues, and I think it would really help if we talked about it. Simple as that. We can have a panel if you want. Bring on Cog, bring on Tansky, bring on Davey, bring on George Ayler, whatever. We can have a panel. I would love to have a panel, mostly because these people are bigger than I am, so I can hijack their platforms for clout, but also because I think that having multiple voices would make things easier as well. So yeah, if you're watching this, other people on YouTube in the future, please like, comment, and subscribe. It does help in the algorithm. If you click my picture, it'll take you to my channel where you can watch more videos. If you click the bell, it will allow you to get notified when I post new videos and when I go live. And I've also got socials there that you can follow me on as well. Thanks very much. Thank you very much for the video, for watching this video rather, and I'll see you next time.